All right, what you're looking at is the first stepping motor I ever owned. And you're going to say, what? Yeah, I still have it. That's out of a 5 1/4 inch floppy drive. This might be a TIAC motor. It looks like a TIAC. Well, anyway, uh, I'm at work and I'm in the cafeteria. I know, big holidays coming up. And the guy says to me, so what are you doing for your holiday? So I told him, I said, yeah, I got a stepping motor controller and a stepping motor and a power supply and like a 555 timer. And I'm going to hook it up and I want to see if I can make the motor step one step at a time or run in a pattern or in a circle. And that's the size that's on the fax machine. This is it. This was the beginning of the stepping motor phase of my life. So he goes, okay, yeah, right. So we used to joke about that. And then for the Super Bowl at his house, we ran a wire outside the house. And at halftime on the Super Bowl game, we hooked the wire up to an Icom R71A. We put it in sideband, and I spun up the drums with the paper that burns when you put voltage through it, my fax machine, and I received an earth fax from NAM down in Virginia, right? So this guy had asked me, what am I going to do for my holiday? And it started off as just getting one of these motors to spin the way I wanted it to. Now, I want to tell you the diagram I told this guy to go get. There's always two transistors. There's 4 transistors. This is a unipolar 6-wire stepper motor. There's always two. As it steps. There's always 2 transistors on, which gives you more holding torque. All right. This stepper motor doesn't necessarily have that in the floppy drive. All right. But that's how I ran it. And this is a 12-volt windings, so you don't need any resistors. And I built the circuit and I made it one. And there's 200 steps to go around once. And if you want the drum to go around once per second, that would be 200 steps, right, to go all the way around. But you want it to go smoother. So you make sure the pulse train and all that's correct. So, and when the drum's spinning, the drum is PVC. That adds inertia, like a flywheel, which makes it a lot smoother. Because people told me when I was building it that the step of the stepping motor would show up in the drawings, and it never did. They were all wrong. See, they shoot from the hip. And it seems obvious. It really does. When people shoot from the hip, sometimes it's like, it's a stepping motor. You would see the steps in the drawing. But I'm saying, but it will still receive the drawing. Yeah, well, that's where I'm going. And then, of course, after I built it, I realized the drum itself has inertia. And the coupling, I take that collet off. The coupling was a piece of automotive fuel line hose. And that was a secret. Sometimes if you use a metal coupler to a shaft or to a threaded rod, the motor won't start. And it's because you don't have perfect alignment. Well, to fix the fact that you need perfect alignment, I use a piece of tubing. And then that gets hidden in the error of the 1/4-20 threaded rod. You'll never see it. I found these ways around everything. And after I built the fax machine, building a CNC machine was all basically the same thing. And I had a floating nut design. And people thought the floating nut was eliminated backlash. It didn't. It eliminated binding. All right. When I designed my first CNC machine, I made a lot of areas for adjustments, and I made a lot of places. I just designed things into the machine that would hide from the person that how crappy it was. they did a bad job, but I found ways to hide it. And one of the ways is to have a lot of adjustment spots. And some people that bought the plans, they're really smart. They go, "You really thought this out." I go, "Oh yeah, yeah." I laid in bed night after night, and then the next day, I would go down to do the experiment, and then I'd redo the drawings, and it was just. I had several parts of the day that the time was allotted for going for a walk, stopping at the hardware store and getting more parts. There was a period of the day that I went to the post office. And you gotta remember, 7 days a week I worked on this stuff. And I think I did the fax machine was after the crank organ. No, yeah, the fax machine, then the crank organ, then the CNC stuff. And I was always busy up until now. And I did a video, and I was asking, where's the next thing coming? You know, the country is going down the shitter. I don't want to get into the politics of it, but in the past, like Vietnam War, all the horrible things we had happening, radio come along, regular AM, FM came along, FM stereo, television, black and white television, then color television, then big screen TVs, cable, satellite dishes. There's always something coming out. CB radios were a craze there for a while. Calculators come out and made things easy for. What has come out lately? A phone that opens up like one did 10 years ago. I'm not impressed. There was always something I wanted to buy. And the last thing I bought that I thought was incredible was that little helicopter that flew like a real helicopter in my living room. And I learned how to fly it. And I said, man, if I had something like this when I was a kid. And since then, no, nothing really phases me lately. I don't see anything really amazing coming. You know, I walked with a guy that couldn't see why they would build the Hubble telescope. That's a waste of taxpayer money. That guy there faked the fact that he had lung cancer and collected. He got a lawyer, and he was suing companies that used asbestos. It was all a scam. And he was a heavy smoker. He quit smoking. And 8 years later, he was supposed to die. 8 years later, I'm in the park, and there he is. He's fine. It was all a scam. He collected. But he didn't think smart people should be able to build a Hubble telescope. He wanted technology to be cut off where he thought it should be cut off. And I walked with him for a while, and I dumped him. I finally dumped him. Yeah, he was walking pretty damn fast for having lung cancer. But what he had was emphysema from smoking. And so much has happened, but I don't see anything new coming along. Yeah, in the comment sections, if you see a new hobby, you know, don't tell me about Bluetooths, not Bluetooth, Raspberry Pis and Arduinos, and there's this new little computer things. I think I had so many videos crash today. I'm shell shocked, but I just wanted to show you my first stepper motor. Comes out of a 5 1/4 inch floppy. I think it was a TIAC, the floppy drive. Man, I've repaired shit like you can't believe, and it kept getting smaller, cheaper, flimsier, junkier, crappier, and not floppy. It's for a floppy drive. It's a stepper motor. It's got a rare earth motor in there. This stuff's really cool, even though it's sort of obsolete now. And I know there's a lot of single chip drivers now. But the problem is, on certain aspects, you want the stepper motor to turn and to shut down. And a lot of these units, you get problems because they're creating so much RF noise. So there is instances where if you want to really be safe, you'll use it's called an RL driver. In other words, it uses a resistor, and the L is the coil winding of the stepper. It's a steep curve. I got really into it, and there was the guy's name Halco? There was a guy I hooked up with on the internet. He was a vet, And we used to send emails back and forth. And he he come up with an idea and he did something, and somebody screwed him over. I can't say the name. I know the name. And the same guy screwed over his brother. It was horrible. There's stuff I could tell you, but I don't want to be sued. But the CNC people that were in CNC, they were really sneaky. Software guys, giving free copies to people so they would talk about it so they could sell more. And then the program would be crippled, but the guys wouldn't know it was crippled because they didn't use it. It was all about bullshit. I think that's it. All right, that's it for now.